I got a doozy here for you tonight. If you look down below, I had a second one tied here, but I don't know where the hell it went.
It's in my fly box.
Oh, is it? Okay, well,
No,
it's here somewhere. I don't know where the hell it went to.
Probably on the floor.
You're looking everywhere, but it's near my smile.
Oh, there it is.
I hid it in my
funny
beard.
boy.
But anyhow, we fooled Scotty. That's how good it is. It just looked like a part of my beard. So I've tied a couple of these guys because there was a. I wish I had that still picture of that. You know what? Do I have it on? I might have it on my phone. While we're standing here, we're talking about this. Anyhow, ice fishing this year. I've been pulling up a lot of damselflies that have been stuck to the weeds and stuff on the bottom. And you know what? I don't think I've got that. You know what I do? There it is. So hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, can you see that okay?
There you go, perfect.
Can you see them both in the picture?
Yep.
Okay, so
fly you tied.
the fly that I tied held with the forceps and the damselfly that we're trying to replicate. They look pretty close to the same thing. I mean, if I was a fish, it would have fooled me long ago. I'd have already eaten that damn thing. But that's the little critter that we're trying to imitate today with the BK damselfly. And I'm looking at the bottom camera and you guys are all up at the top. It's one of those days. 2 cups of coffee and I'm ready to go. Okay, so we might as well go down. I'll give you a quick show of, we'll go to the bottom camera. Are we there already?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of what the top looks like. You got a little bit of a shell back on. That one I tied was the very first one I tied. This is the second. You can see I made a little bit of improvement on the shell back. Is it still in focus pretty good there? I didn't check. It's right on the money, eh? So we got some big ass bead eyes. We got a shell back, which is pheasant tail. We got a couple legs. I started out tying it with rubber legs. And you know what? I'm not a real big fan of rubber legs for the simple reason that when it travels through the water, rubber legs tend to make your fly roll. And I don't know too many damsel patterns that go through the water rolling. But if you want to tie it with the rubber legs, they're pretty simple. And it looks a lot like that. Can you see that okay, bud? Yep. So with the rubber legs, it looks cool, but functional, I'm not too sure about it. We'll test it out and we'll let you know about it. But anyhow, so there's the 2 different patterns. Pretty close to the same thing, except we added some rubber legs. Let's get to the tie. So, much like the other 2 flies that I tied today, we're starting out with, hold on, I got the hook pattern package right here. We're starting out with a Daiichi size 6 curved hook. The style number is a 1260, a 1260. I got black uni thread in a 6/0. Some guys will like to tie it in an 8/0. I hate tying flies and having them break thread on live television here. Unlike my good friend Scotty Holmes, he's a pro at breaking thread in live ties. Maybe he should go to the 6/0. Wouldn't you say, Scotty?
Yeah.
So if you're watching this, I'm sure Scotty, you could use some 6/0. I'll get you some for your stocking next year. So we're starting out with a little chunk of pheasant tail for the tail. So here we got this beautiful pheasant tail that I've got. We're going to take a little chunk of that guy. So you want to grab a fair amount because, as you saw in that picture, they've got a pretty fat tail. Actually, I'll see if I can pull that picture up one more time for you. So with that picture, you can see they've got a pretty fat tail, right? So they're not all like that. That might be the fat tail version of a damselfly. I don't recall seeing them that fat, but we're gonna try and get it as close as we can. So you take your pheasant tail, push your tips, try and line them up. Some guys will stack it, but I'm pretty good at eyeballing it. And I've not met a perfect damselfly yet. So until that happens, I'll kind of have the odd straggler kicking out. So you want to lay it off the back a bit, about I'm going to say about 1/3 of the shank. At that point, anchor it. As I say in a lot of my videos, lock it down. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble today with that hook. I keep nailing the barb of that shank that I'm wrapping. And I'm going to wrap that up with the shank just to give it a little extra girth. Damsel flies are not the thickest flies in town. So, hey, we're a busy store. We're doing this live, on location. Okay, so we got the pheasant tail locked in the back end. How's that look, cameraman? Good?
Awesome.
Now, earlier I was tying with the polar dub and a bronze olive. You could use that same stuff for this pattern, but I really like the look of this other stuff that I got for a body.
Okay.
And this one's the diamond dub and the dark olive, which is very, very sexy. You can see this stuff. It's a little bit more sparse. And so we're going to get a little bit of this. And it's really easy stuff to work with. Okay, so we're going to roll this up. Locking her down. And tell you the truth, this stuff is probably the easiest dubbing I've ever worked with in my life.
Superfly.
You know, there's a lot of synthetics out there. A lot of synthetics out there that are pretty tough. A lot of blends out there that are really tough to dub on. This is definitely, for me, I'm not a professional dubber like the other two Scotties that tied dubbing pretty well every other day. And for me to be able to work with this stuff as quick and easily as I am, it tells you something. Go out and get yourself some right now. You're going to love it. You can thank me later. Actually, you know what? The best thing is, send us a couple pictures of what you're tying. That's one thing I like. I like looking at other people's flies and critiquing them, like our dear friend Sean Mooney does to us on a regular basis. So, at that point, I got the back end is looking pretty good. Now, I'm going to throw in the thorax, and the thorax, again, is done with another chunk of pheasant tail. So, you want to get some pretty big coarse stuff down toward the bottom of the feather, the nice long stuff, especially if you're tying with a size 6 or a size 4 hook. You're going to need that long stuff just to cover the shank, cover up what you're doing, and it makes it a whole lot easier. And you're going to see that we actually use that thorax to tie the wing case as well. So, I feel like I'm left-handed today. So same thing, you don't really have to worry too much about lining them up. I'm going to get a little, actually that'll do it. So you got a good clump of this stuff, right? And all you're going to do, take the loose ends, cut them off, square them up. You're going to lay this all up on top, but you're not going to go too far. You're going to leave enough room to put your eyes on front. So, at that point, you just want to build up the thorax, and this is going to give you a little bit of meat and potatoes. And when you throw the dubbing on there, it'll cover it up nice. You want all that stuff laying up on top. Super easy. Super duper easy. I'm going to tell you right now that you guys are going to love, guys and gals, I should put in gals in there too, because there are some really good fly fishing girls out there. Ladies, I should say. Ladies, not girls. Ladies. At this point, we've got this pearl chain. I got this up at Boggs Fabric. You can probably get it at Michael's or any of the... I've used this on a lot of different patterns, a lot of different nymphs. Anything
Fabricland. I know Fabricland.
Yeah, Fabricland has it. So it's pearl chain. But you can see the gap on it. It's got a little bit more gap than your traditional bug eyes that you can buy in a store. And it's a whole lot cheaper too. So you want to cut 2 eyes out of there. So it's pretty straightforward. You got the 2. Now you got bug eyes. And you want to clean the ends up. Get all that stuff that was holding them together apart. Work this guy forward. Lay it on top. Am I making that look really awkward?
No, like a pro. And see, by leaving that short and having that room for it, it also gives you somewhere to butt that eye up against.
Yeah, you're gonna probably have to talk up a little bit. I got
You
the mic is over. The mic is on the man here. So what he's saying is, with that little bump, it gives me something to tie up against, which is key. And you want enough room on the eye, so that way, when you finish it up with all the dubbing and put the head on it, you've got somewhere to throw your knots, your finishing knots, and still be able to
crowded the eye.
Yeah, so anyhow, we got that one dialed in, pretty nice. And you do a few figure eights. Last thing you want is those eyeballs riding sideways. So they're nice and straight. At this point, we're going back to the dub. the rub-a-dub-dub back to the head there. And at one point I was actually thinking of mixing the two together, but I'm going to keep it simple. It's probably better for businesses like myself to have you buying 3 or 4 packets of dubbing.
The custom blend.
Yeah, the custom blend. But this case, we're going to make it easy, simple. And I mean, I'm sure you guys all have your own little secret colors and stuff that you like to use. So throw them in there. And you know what? In the comments below the video, throw in your pictures. I love looking at pictures of flies that are deadly patterns. They always put a smile on my face. Anytime I can get the upper hand for my clients, I'm all about that. And I don't mind sharing a few little secrets. So we're going to bug out that head a little bit. Man, that dubbin is so nice to use, Scotty. This has got to be one of your favorites too, bud.
Yeah, it's been in all my last flies lately.
Yeah, you know what? This was a new material for me. I was a Senyos guy until I started using this stuff. Not that I'm not a Senyos guy anymore, but this stuff is really, really easy to use with. So, at this point, you got your thoraxes in there, you got your case, this guy rolls up over the top. Wow, doesn't that tie it all together, and wait until you see this little trick I got for you. So, you just a couple loose ones at first, and you're just throwing that pheasant tail right up in between the eyes. Now, with it loose, pull that sucker back like that, put a couple wraps in front, and then we're going to lock it down. A couple real tight ones. You see how that fanned out the unicorn here on the front? Now, I'm going to take this front little bit that I got sticking out, and I'm going to split it as evenly as I can. So if I got 6 on one side, I want 6 on the other. But in this case, you probably got about 10 and 10. And then just have a quick look at it, see where you're at. Need a couple more on this side. Try and balance it out as much as you can. Oh boy, is this thing coming together. Okay, so I got 50-50 here. And what you're going to do is hold one side back, roll over it, take the other side, and you're going to roll over it a couple times. And you're going to see that this is going to pin those guys down. And then what you're going to do, kind of hold them off to the side and down with your fingers, and you're just going to roll over it a couple times just to pinch them back. Okay? And you see how I did that, right? So now you've got, I wish I had a rotating vise here, Scott, just to show you guys what I'm seeing from the top. Because if I take this out of the vise right now with my bobbin hanging there, it's going to be a disaster. I'll show you at the end here. So at this point, to finish this fly and make it look deadly, we're going to take a little bit more of this dubbin. You don't need a ton, okay? And all this is going to do is push those wings back. And it's going to complete your head, okay? Okay. So that's going over the top. Over the top. Push it back, baby. Pushing it back. Now you're going to go in between the eyes a couple times. One on this side, one on that side. And I'm going to put just a smidgen more dubbing on there. And you're going to see this fly is going to look really good. Doesn't take a lot to fill that head out. Get that dubbing ready, baby. Get her ready. This thing is about to go hit the water and catch a bunch of fish. Well, not anytime soon, because the lakes are still pretty frozen here, aren't they, Scott?
I'd be willing to put that underneath my fly or my ice rod.
Yeah, I would. It would. I would put money on this pattern, smoking them. Okay, so you just want to make sure you define those eyes. At that point, a quick whip finish, and then we're going to trim up those legs so you don't have quarter-mile long legs. And we'll show you the trick with that guy too. Whew, that thing's looking good, isn't it, Scott?
Looking good.
Okay, so a quick whip finish. I'm just going to throw down like probably 4 or 5 twists there. 3 or 4. Lock her down. Cut off your line and try not to cut everything else. So you got that sitting off the back. Okay, so at this point I'm just going to show you what it looks like on top. Okay, can you see that okay, Scotty?
Perfect.
Okay, these legs don't need to be that long. So what we're going to do is pin this guy back and we're going to cut them just longer than the dubbing body, so it kind of comes up to the tail. And then I'm going to show you one more time here what it looks like finished. Any of you companies out there that sell rotating vices, anytime you want to send me one, you're more than welcome. I'll use it. So, just past the body, knock it off. Same on the other side, just past the body, knock it off. And ladies and gentlemen,
Damn.
that is a finished product. Bingo bango. BK Damsel Nymph. Right there, going to get them all day long. I'll show you what that looks
Little
like.
profile there. Yeah.
So, I mean, up here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to slap that guy in my forceps so you don't see my unmanicured fingernails. And then you'll get the whole bite there. How's that look, Scott?
Oh, there you are.
So there it is. BK Damsel Fly Nymph. Bingo bango. Bent rods, real screaming. That's what we're talking about right there. Anyhow, let's go up top. We'll sign out. Scotty is in the building, and he's got a couple great flies for you today. Are we up top?
Yep.
Scotty's got a couple great flies for you. Have you got anything here? Maybe I can give him a little promo of what we're doing. You know what?
No.
You're going to have to stay tuned because he's coming up right next. And he's got a couple doozies for you, along with our good friend Zach from Bass Pro down in Tawasin. We got a great show for you. Anyhow, enjoy the rest of the show. Love you lots.